Every business needs new clients to survive. And having quality leads for your business is the beginning of having long-term clients. But how do you generate leads, and what do you do if you need help generating leads? Today in our lesson, we're going to look at lead generation and search engine optimization. Why small businesses should focus on getting leads, why bigger businesses should focus on getting their SEO right, and why all businesses should be focused on making higher quality content if they want to rank higher in Google searches. Here we go. Teaching you to make useful content so that you can build long-term relationships with the people that matter to your business. Hello and welcome to the Useful Content Podcast. And today we have a new teacher in the Useful Content classroom, Scott Gabdullin. Hey Scott.
Great to be here. Thank you for having me. Definitely looking forward to the conversation.
So the deal is, this podcast is fairly new, this form of it. And I actually discovered you on the Facebook podcast collaboration group. And I put out a call and you didn't immediately respond, but somehow like a week later you turned up. What did you see to make you want to inquire about the podcast?
I think the fact that your podcast is very much focused on teaching is something that resonates a lot with me. Throughout my journey in digital marketing, I've done a lot of education and whether it's working with clients or whether it's actually teaching as part of various different colleges and kind of educational startups here in Toronto, I really became passionate about sharing my knowledge, my experience with digital marketing, SEO, SEM, and even entrepreneurship in general. And so seeing podcasts that align with that passion of mine, definitely something that I always try to reach out to and see if there is an opportunity to have a conversation and share as much knowledge as I can with the audience that you and other podcasters have.
Yeah, and that's great. I know you have a lot of knowledge to share in that area, SEO, SEM, lead generation, and things of that sort, because I've checked you out and you do speak a good game. I know you have stuff to back it up based on your history. So tell us a little bit about your journey to getting where you are and how you create useful content for your clients.
I actually originally started in computer engineering, graduated with a degree in it, and then went to work for AMD graphic cards company. Quickly realized that it wasn't really something I wanted to do, and started to do quite a bit of web design, web development on the side. And that just got me involved in digital marketing as well as web development. And so eventually I quit my career in computer engineering, went into digital marketing, started working for large enterprise agencies. So dealing with clients like KPMG, TD Bank, Toyota, and basically doing a lot of SEO on enterprise level. So very much focused on technical SEO, focused on content marketing. That was really what we were really working on it for those clients. And then eventually started to learn more about small businesses, doing a little bit of freelancing for small businesses, and realized that, hey, why not to launch my own agency? And so now I run my own agency as well as a number of traditional businesses of my own that we also utilize all of the digital marketing knowledge that I have. As part of the journey, I've been teaching for 5 years now, and teaching SEO and SEM to students of various backgrounds. So some students own their own businesses, some students are changing careers, just like I did once back in the past. And then some students who are just trying to upgrade in terms of skill set and maybe get a raise or get a promotion, and really kind of learning a lot about what different motivations are for different people who are getting involved with digital marketing, with SEO, SEM, just trying to upgrade their skill set.
So what's your favorite thing about being a teacher?
Being a teacher, I would say that if you have practical experience in doing things, actually knowing how to execute on SEO, how to execute on digital marketing, how to do YouTube, When you teach, you teach something that's actually practical, not just macro level, but actually practical real world application of that knowledge, it can make a big difference for your students. So I had a student, for example, who came to our class. He took a class for 2 weeks learning SEO. 2 weeks later, he comes back. He owns a therapy business here in Toronto. He's like, I made a few changes that you told me to make, and now I'm hiring an extra assistant because we can't handle the volume of business that's coming through, right? So this is a real world application of the knowledge that we're teaching them, and then it has a real world impact on their lifestyle, on their business, and it actually changes their life. And that's something that I love seeing. I really love seeing students who learn and then applies the knowledge and actually sees the results of it. Because it can make a real difference, and I just love teaching people. If I can see the impact that it's making, that's why I keep gravitating back to it.
Yeah, I love that. I love the idea of being able to take something that you know, give it to someone else, and see them do something with it.
Exactly.
Very practical application, very applied knowledge type of system. And I'm happy that you are someone who thinks that way too, because that's exactly how I think. And that's why this podcast is where it is. All right. So that's good. That's a good introduction to who you are and why we are here today talking about SEO and lead generation for businesses. So let's jump deeper into the SEO part of it and the lead generation for businesses of varying sizes. And part of what you believe is that depending on the size of the business, you need to focus on different types of marketing. Why do you believe that you need to focus on different types of marketing depending on the size of the business?
Yeah, great question. So most of the time what happens is that businesses that are really small, the owner of the business is in the business itself. They're the ones who are basically providing the service and the fulfillment. So as a result, there is not as much time left for all the other activities like, building your own website, checking how your marketing is going, learning about marketing. Because when you are a business owner and an entrepreneur, you're wearing a lot of hats on any given day. There's just no time to go and invest a ton of time into learning how to do organic social, and on top of that SEO, on top of that SEM. And if you do want to hire an agency to do it for you, you still have to keep on top of them and figuring out whether they're doing a good job for you or not. And unfortunately, in marketing, I feel like there are a lot of agencies that take advantage of small businesses. And what happens is that they do a mediocre job and pretty much learn on clients' dime by providing, average or below average results. So what we realized that was the best approach for small businesses is actually to buy leads instead of focusing on marketing and on building a website or building any kind of brand when you're still too small. And instead buy the leads, take the lead, get on a call with that lead, close that lead, make money, reinvest it into more leads. And when you get to a point where you make enough income to cover your own bills and you have maybe some money left to hire extra help, you hire that help and then you start to expand. Then you start to focus on your brand. Then you start to focus on building websites, hiring agencies to do marketing for you, investing long-term into your brand building online. I think that's a much healthier, much better option, much better path to take than to do it all and try to do it all right from the beginning. A lot of the guys that we work with, we send them leads and they don't have time for anything else. They're getting 50 leads in a matter of a couple of weeks, and they're just busy answering the calls. And at the end of the year, he's like, Scott, you took us from $0 a year and a half ago to $220,000 this year, right? So, and now they're basically expanding. They're adding teams, they're adding equipment, and they're now asking a question, hey, what can we do to actually start to focus on our own brand? Because, hey, you never know, Scott, you might disappear one day and leads will dry up. And then what do I do with all these guys? So it makes more sense for me to start to build a foundation for my business online. And that's a rational question to ask. As someone who is a business owner, I totally understand when business owners want to do that themselves. So we always start the conversation and be like, hey, yep, leads are great. Start focusing on your own business, start building brand. That being said, maybe you still continue with the leads just because you need the cash flow, but start to investing some of that money into doing SEO for your own website, start to do organic social, start to do good web design, building good landing pages, storytelling, copywriting, stuff like that. All right, so that's my mindset. Now, obviously, there are exceptions to the rule. That's just the use cases that I've been exposed to, where it really, really works well for small businesses to just focus on leads. We personally do not like doing SEO for small businesses. You know, if you're doing SEO, it takes time. It takes 6 months, might take 12 months, depending on how new your website is. And they need business right now, right? They need to make money right now. So that's why we just productized the service and essentially said, hey, we're not doing SEO for you, for small business, we're doing leads. You're getting on a call with someone. If you're good at closing, you'll close the lead, you'll make money. That's what we focus on. And that's been my philosophy for the last few years, and it works really well.
So, okay, I am a business owner. I have never bought leads before. I don't know how does that work. I don't even know that this thing exists. Could you explain to me what is involved in buying leads, and how would you tell someone, well, this is the way to go as a small business owner, and when they have no concept of what, so let's just suppose they don't even have a concept of what a quote unquote lead is. How do you explain that to someone?
Yeah, great question. So for us, well, basically the explanation is fairly simple. What we do is we get people to call you or to request your services. That's essentially a lead, right? So through our campaigns, there are two types of lead you get. The ones who are dialing the number and going straight to your phone. So if you're a business owner, they're going to call straight to you. You're going to answer the call and they're going to be just pretty much saying, hey, I'm looking for lawn care services. I'm looking for an accountant, corporate accountant. I'm looking for tree removal, right? And then from there, you take it, you get their information, address and whatnot, and you invoice them and get the job done. The other type of a lead we get is usually a lead comes through a lead form. So they just submit the information. Guys, folks like me who are introverts, we don't really like to get on a call with folks and, and talk about prices and quotes. So we might submit a form instead telling them, hey, here's my address. Here's what I'm looking for in terms of services. Give me the price. All right, I want to know how much you're going to be charging me. So business owners love that. So when they work with us, they love to get those types of leads because those people are actually interested in this service now. Mm-hmm. They're not going to be somebody who is going to be beating around the bush and waiting until next year to get something done. So a lot of our businesses that work with us, primarily in home services. So I have to caveat it. Primarily in home services, they get to close the lead within about 24 hours. As soon as someone calls, they get on a call, and if you have good sales skills, you can actually close people on the call. There is no problem getting those businesses closed, and pretty much from there you just charge the client and get the job done. That's essentially what happens. So for anybody who's never tried leads, it's just you basically what happens is that we're not touching your website. We're not doing anything with your brand. All the leads are coming through our own campaigns. We might put up a website of our own. We might put up a landing page, and then the leads will be generated via Facebook advertising, Google advertising, SEO, whatever it might be the channel. That's not for you to worry about. The only thing that you have to worry about and kind of give us feedback on is how was the quality. Did the lead close? Did they actually look for what you offer? If not, we pivot, we fix whatever needs to be fixed, and we try to get you the best quality leads we can.
Okay, so I understand now. So you run campaigns separate from, and these are generic campaigns, right? These are not campaigns specific to the company. So these are generic campaigns that's say for tree removal, for lawn care, for those type of things. Exactly. Let's just suppose you have some creative that says, dead lawn, would you like to revive it? Click here or sign up this form. And so you run those on, let's say, Facebook or Instagram or wherever it is. People sign up, they click, they go to a landing page, they enter the information, you get the lead, and then you send it to the business. That's how it works?
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly the process. The reason why it really works very well is because we cut out the part that takes the longest time. It's basically dealing with clients' websites, right? Because their websites, small businesses don't really have websites that are built to convert, right? So now you have to go in and you have to change the fonts and the buttons, and you put a form here and there, and then the client is like, well, I don't know if I like it, and then it takes 6 months just to get off the ground. For us, we don't concern ourselves with anything like that. We know what works. We built, like you said, we built something generic, we put it up. All clients care about is that the phone rings. If it rings, do they care if it came from a generic landing page? No. So they'll answer the call. Somebody's looking for a lawn care service. They offer lawn care service. That's it. That's a transaction right there.
Right. This is great. Because I never thought, I knew it existed, but I never thought about, oh yeah, you don't have to necessarily, because people always talk about building a brand and, putting your company out there. So people are very caught up in my business face needs to be out there. It needs to be my logo, my colors. People need to know me. But you very rightfully said at the beginning, you don't care how you get the business. You just want the business. Right. And so they hire someone like you who is a lead generator. You do the structure. They don't have to touch that. They don't have to see it. They don't have to know how the magic works. All they know is that their phone is ringing and they're getting this information that they can now try and close to make sure that their business continues to survive. Yeah.
That's exactly it. And I think you touched on a very good point. A lot of small businesses are being told, go build a brand. Right? Go work on your brand and do social and do this and do that. And there's just not enough time in the day. Like you said, they just need money to survive, at least at the beginning. Right? That's why we say, like, to a certain revenue threshold, you just need to focus on getting your phone ringing. That's all that matters. Right? There is no brand really at the beginning. You're still figuring out your own offering. You're still figuring out if you are even good at this business. Can you get people to buy your service? So the best way to do it, the best way to validate whether you've got the required skills to run a small business is to get on a call with leads, right? And it doesn't matter how those leads, you acquire those leads as long as they are looking for your service. That's all you need. You're quickly getting on a call, you're validating your own sales skills, your own pitch, and your own pricing. And that's the best thing you can do. Instead of, sitting there and kind of figuring out, do I like the color of this logo? Do I like the color of this button, the size of this font? None of that matters at the beginning. All that matters is getting on a call with a potential customer.
Yeah. And I don't know where I got it from, but I know the saying of you don't have a business unless you get a sale. For a business of a certain size, as far as you see, what's the most effective way to convert? Is it that some people prefer the direct phone call, or some people prefer to get the things in a form and sent to them? Or is it from business to business is different? Or is it like, what's the internal systems of the business like? What are the best channels and the best way for any business owner to choose how to generate leads?
Yeah, I think there are two questions there. So which I think channel works best, and then what, once someone is on a website, once you acquire them, what type of a lead, I guess, mechanism works best in terms of phone call or a forum. So to answer the first one, I would say if you are going to be a small business who wants to invest your own time and your own money into your, generating your own leads, I would say Google Ads is the best option, right? So everybody who goes on Google already has a problem, so they're looking for a service. It's very much bottom of the funnel type of a channel. So most of the time when you get those leads, they're really easy to close as long as you're not horrible on the phone, which happens. I've seen a lot of small business who couldn't deal with leads because they just couldn't close, and we couldn't help them. So the relationship cannot progress from there. So Google Ads is the best option. Now, if you're going to be doing Facebook advertising, or if you're going to be doing Instagram advertising, or any other social media platform out there, something you will have to keep in mind is that you will have to nurture the lead to actually become ready for you to close. The reason why is because when someone goes on Google and they look for lawn care services, that's because they need lawn care services. When someone goes on Facebook or Instagram, they're there because they're looking at the photos of influencers or their friends and family. Nobody's looking for anything that you're offering, and you're interrupting their experience with your ad. So if they got curious, it's not because they had a problem at this given moment, it's because maybe something came to their mind as I might need it at some point in the future. So there needs to be, it's kind of, you think of it as extra steps in the funnel for you to actually nurture someone coming off of the Facebook versus someone who is coming off of Google is fairly close to the actual transaction itself. So that's one thing that's always you have to always keep in mind. And we do generate leads in in all of the different platforms. We love Google. If Google doesn't work, we go elsewhere. If Google works, we do it on Google. If client wants more leads on top of what Google can offer, because Google is finite, there is only so much you can generate from it, then you go and you layer on top social media, paid advertising in social media. Now, once somebody actually lands on your website, on your landing page, right? At the beginning, every business owner tells me that they want more phone calls. So they're like, I want more calls. I love phone calls. I can get on a call with a person and I can close them. So get me more phone calls. And what I tell them is that I will give you phone calls, but we'll also give you forms. Somebody submits a form. Trust me, you will love it. Now, the reason why they love it, at the end of the day, they will always ask for more lead forms rather than phone calls. But the reason why they love it is because someone submits a form, they will give you all the information up front. They will tell you the address, they will tell you the phone number, the name, they will tell you what they're looking for. So before you even get on a call, you already got some homework done. So now you're talking to the person knowing that, hey, they want a cut for their lawn. The lawn is, I don't know, this and this size based on my Google Maps research I've done based on the address they provided. So now when I get on a call, I can pitch them $400 for the season, right? Instead of getting on a call and when they tell you exact information, you kind of have to think through it, you have to process it, and then there's pressure of time, and you're trying to close them at the same time, and you're like, am I doing a good job with it? Right? So a lot of businesses come in, we want calls, and then after a while, they're like, I love forms, can you give me more forms? Right? So we can't control which option people will choose. That's why we give both options to the actual potential customer. But usually it ends up being, 50-50, 70-30 in favor of a call. But forms just work fabulously. We love forms ourselves. I run a number of my own traditional businesses, and forms are just great. We can follow up within 15, 30 minutes, and we already have a pitch ready. So that's the way that we position it, from the channel that we generate leads from to the actual website and the type of a lead that businesses get.
Wow, beautiful, beautiful. Excellent. That's good information. All right, so we kind of just flowed straight into how businesses would generate leads, which is the first part of the two things that we want to come and talk about today. So we kind of covered all that already in exactly what you said, which was excellent. And I think you gave some excellent information as to how the system works for small business owners. But now let's move on to some of the SEO stuff that you do for enterprise businesses. And you say that you really focus on SEO for bigger businesses. Why do you think that's the best way to go about generating leads for bigger businesses?
Yeah, so the thing about bigger businesses is obviously that they're much more mature, right? So they're at a point where they do have budgets to allow larger campaigns and to be, most importantly, patient about the marketing efforts, right? So small business is at a point where they need to make money in order to survive. Medium-sized to large enterprise businesses are already surviving. As a matter of fact, they're thriving. So now, most of the time, what they're doing is they're layering SEO on top of whatever they're doing in marketing, trying to get more incremental leads. All right. So as a result, when we work with enterprise clients, we like the fact that they understand that something will take 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, right? Depending on how competitive the keywords are that they're trying to rank for. So as a result, we don't have to justify our efforts every single week to them. We don't have to deal with questions every single day. Where is my rankings? What are my rankings? Right? That's really the hardest part of being in the agency business, is actually client communication. Clients who are less patient, they will be messaging you all the time. Clients who are much more mature in terms of their business stage, they tend to ask you once a week, once a month, where we at? How is the progress? How is the revenue numbers or lead numbers are progressing? If it's up, great. If it's down, they expect an explanation, but it's never panic or anything like that, unless you're not doing a good job and it's been 12 months and there is no progress. Obviously, you're in trouble. Right. So that's why we really like to work with larger companies when it comes to actual service, SEO service, is because it takes time. So your business have to be at a point where it can afford to invest not just money, but time as well into the process. And SEO is not an easy thing to do, just primarily because you don't control Google. right? So what we do is we work with best practices, and depending on your risk tolerance, some results we can get quickly. They do with certain level of risk, which we usually don't do for enterprise clients. Or if we do it based on best practices, pure, content marketing, marketing campaigns and whatnot, then that will just take some time. And we've noticed that it's way easier to work with larger clients as a result when we're doing service versus small businesses. Productized service is the best option.
Yeah. So when we were doing our websites back in the days, because I know you are somebody who built websites, and so you would have optimized websites, you'd have done all the meta tagging and all the different things. We actually were able to get our website to rank for kind of a short tail search term. We rank on the first page for a number of years. And that's something that I did for my SEO, but that was all the way back in 2011. What is different about SEO in this time?
Well, I wasn't doing SEO in 2011, I would say that based on what I know in terms of just this going 10 years and whatnot back, SEO, so the SEO got more saturated, so there's a lot more competition, definitely, right? So a lot more businesses are now obviously understanding the value of organic search and driving organic traffic to their businesses. So there is way more competition. The algorithm has become more complex, so there is a lot more factors that Google takes into account. There is a lot more emphasis on content, there's a lot more emphasis on backlinks, and a lot less, I would say, on just keywords or finding keyword on a page, which is what I would assume would be the case back in 2011, the early days of Google, is when you put the right keywords into the page, that was pretty much giving you an advantage to actually rank higher, right? As well as you could build a lot of low quality links back to your site, and that would give you a boost and get you to rank better as well. Now, a lot of those links or those link strategies that used to work back in the day would probably not cut through the chase this time around. But if you do still do link building, just a little bit better quality links, that is still working. The industry has become more competitive. There's a lot more businesses that are trying to go after the keywords that you probably would be interested to go after. And there's also the more complex algorithm as well. So way more factors to consider. Google keeps saying that quality matters depending on which SEO you ask. You can't get away with low quality. That being said, if you're building a real brand, I think you might want to focus on building a quality website, quality content, whatever that means to your end user, whether it's AI generated content, it's still quality, or human written content, that's still quality. That's up to you and your choice. But yeah, things just got more saturated and more complicated with regards to SEO over time.
Yeah. And I know Google has implemented the Google Helpful Content System, which rewards, well, they say it rewards higher quality content as opposed to just keywords and things like word stuffing and things that people would have done in the past. Or should marketers be worried about that? And how do you go about navigating that Google Content System?
Yeah, there's been a number of different updates that were focusing on content. One of them was actually in September this year, so Helpful Content Update just rolled out at the end, finished rolling out at the end of September, so just a few days ago. And there's been a lot of carnage. So a lot of websites went down. And if your audience is following kind of Twitter news and whatnot, people talking about SEO, they'll notice that a lot of the what we call niche websites went down, and Reddit and LinkedIn and Quora actually went up. So there's a lot more of them that Google shows for various different keywords like Quora and Reddit. And Google's explanation is that that's the content that people are looking for. Something that's real advice, something that is, in a way, I guess, a quality advice because it comes from the users and their own experience. Whereas whatever niche website owners were providing before was just kind of repetition of the same knowledge, of the same information over and over again for the purpose of generating more income via affiliate marketing or display advertising. All right, so I don't really have an opinion on that. I try to not have an opinion on this particular update. So Google says that they're focusing on quality. That being said, if you look at the websites that's showing up, let's say quarter results and whatnot, they're horrible. Some of them are just AI answers, like ChatGPT answers pretty much in Quora format. So that's not quality. Even though user posted it, doesn't make it quality. And then, but however, some websites that we've seen that went down, they were not quality either. They were not giving any original information, right? So again, for me, if you're someone who is interested in long-term growth of your business and you're actually building a brand, then all these updates will happen, right? At some point, you're going to go up in rankings, and at some point, you're going to go down in rankings. You have to always think long-term and just focus on your end user, in my opinion, and build content or original content that is actually of quality to your audience. So I think that really reflects very well on YouTube, where you can see when someone is faking it or someone is producing something for the sake of just generating more, more videos and then maybe manipulating the algorithm. Whereas when you and I are having conversation, it's genuine. There's quality to it. Your setup is quality. Your audio is quality, right? The same mindset is what we try to apply to websites, is how can we create the best quality content with videos in it, with podcasts in it, whatever images. And if user likes it, we are building a real brand. We can get more traffic from other platforms like Facebook and Instagram if quality content is there. That being said, Google is obviously the biggest source. So again, I would say don't focus too much on algorithms, too much on algorithm updates. Sometimes you will get hit even though you don't deserve it. Sometimes you will be rewarded for it. If you are just doing churn and burn like a lot of SEOs, we do have websites where just build it for the sake of making a quick income, and we know that it's going to churn and burn in 6 months. By all means, that's not a problem. We'll use AI for it and whatnot, but there is a real expectation that eventually it's just going to go down, right? If you are someone who is a small business, which is, I assume, what most of your audience are, focus on brand. Try to build a brand once you have enough revenue coming into the business via maybe potentially leads, and then you have that income to spend on marketing and branding and doing proper job in terms of your own business.
Yeah, and I think what out of that, I guess one of the big questions comes up because it's quite in vogue right now of how do we properly use AI in order to augment, let me put it that way, augment our content without falling into the trap of producing commodity content, which then tanks our SEO. So how do you marry both of those things? So there may be a smart business owner who says, hey, Scott, I really want to do the SEO stuff. I know that AI is big. How can we now use AI to drive our SEO? Is that something that we can do? What would your response to a business owner like that be?
100%. I don't think that AI in general is bad for SEO. Right. I think is that when you are trying to take a shortcut, it ends up being bad for SEO. So what do I mean by that? If you just ask ChatGPT to write an article for you and you take it the way it is and you put it on your website, that's probably bad for your SEO. You're guaranteed to get hit at some point sooner or later. However, when you're writing an article, even if it's an original piece, right? Even when scientists go and do research papers, it's research. Right, there is a reason why we're saying research papers, that they are going to be sourcing information from somewhere else in order to come up with their own conclusions and write their own articles or their own papers. So I would recommend for any small business to use AI as a way to research the topic, to get an outline, to get new ideas, just because when you do your own research just on your own as a human being, there's probably going to be limitation as to how much information you can really get through, right? Whereas AI can quickly, go through a ton of different sources and whatnot and provide that in a more or less digestible format back to you. So I would say don't use it necessarily for writing the entire thing. Use it for influencing what you're going to be writing and for researching the topic in greater depth. So for me, AI is a great research tool. It's great for using to learn more about the topic, but at the end of the day, it's you who should be writing it.
Yeah, I hear you. And so what I get from that is that effective SEO has to be driven by experience-based, authentic content, and not necessarily pulling, because we know how it works. We know that when you put a prompt in, let's say ChatGPT or Bard or whichever one you decide to use, it's just aggregation of all it is, these different multiple thoughts under this particular topic. And then it puts something out for you, which is not necessarily the most useful. And so it makes sense that you would use it for struct here, or you would use it for some other type of research, but primarily the content should come from your experiences, from you, and that's the type of thing you should be focusing on if you want to build content for SEO.
That's exactly on point. And if you're building a true brand, I have to provide a disclaimer here. If you're building a true brand, right, you really want to build something long term, that's the approach. Now, some of my colleagues who are SEOs, they build websites purely on AI content, and it ranks and it makes money for them. Affiliate marketing, display advertising, right? There are ways to cut through, but when you go to that website, it's just generic copy. You're not really building any kind of long-term affinity between your brand and your customer. They're not going to be searching for your brand, a week from now, being like, I found some really interesting information on that website, right? Most of the time, it's a boring article. It's got a bunch of links. Somebody clicked on a link. You made money as an SEO or a niche website owner. If you're building a brand, you're trying to build an affinity. You're trying to basically build trust between yourself and the end user. And so when they see this original content, the videos, the quality of everything that you're producing, in turn, that should generate more loyalty on their end, and they will probably come back to you, right? So yeah, for sure, I just have to kind of add a disclaimer that there is always a way to make money. If you want to do it with shortcuts, there are plenty of them. They work. If you're building a business long-term, focus on quality. That's my opinion on it. And, with enterprise clients, we actually do content writing for them. We offer that as part of our service, and we never use AI for it, right? None of our articles are written with AI. The reason why is because if one day Google decides that it's no longer okay with AI for whatever reason, we don't want to be held accountable for large amounts of traffic just tanking on a client website. That is enterprise client. Like we're talking about hundreds of thousands of visits, right? So again, for us, we're still human first, human written article in terms of our own service. We offer that as a service, and we see really good results with it. But AI is just used for research, just to help us, get more information, makes the article a little bit better, but never to write the entire article itself.
Yeah. I love what you said. And that's a big thing for me, building these long-term relationships. And I guess you say you're building a brand, you're building these long-term relationships. And if you take too many shortcuts, the journey becomes longer, in my opinion. And of course, as you said, you'll get short-term wins. And maybe that is the idea. Maybe the idea is, okay, let me just do this real quick. Let me get some short-term wins. And maybe that's the purpose of it, but it really is purpose driven. And if your purpose is to stay in the market and to maximize customer lifetime value and to build a brand and those things, that you should in fact focus on authentic experience-based content in order to drive your SEO. Yeah?
Yeah, 100%. I'm in a lot of different masterminds with various different SEOs, and something that always kind of becomes a conclusion of a lot of conversations is that as SEOs, we're trying to pretty much fake the signals that a real brand would have, right? So we're trying to take shortcuts to get to a point where we look like a real brand. And it's in the back of my mind, why not to just build a brand? Why not to put a real person on your website, put their bio, put their photo, tell the person who the writer is, who the author is, not just AI generated picture, right? So yeah, that's what Google is looking for. They're trying to actually find your website to be more like a real business. And then that information will help them to try to, rank websites that actually deserve to rank better. Doesn't always work out that way, but if you're already taking shortcuts to look like a real brand, why not just build a real brand?
Yeah, I agree 100%. I agree with that. I think just build a real brand. I mean, especially if you plan to be around for a while. If you don't, then it doesn't matter. But if you plan to be around for a while and you're building this big business, and if you're enterprise level, I mean, one would only assume that you're in this for the long term, or at least for the medium term. You have some kind of goal or plan. And so that makes sense just to build it all the way out. All right. So, okay. So this has been very, very good. Tell the people if you have any last takeaways or anything that you would like them to know about lead generation and SEO, you can just share that with the people now. Any last big takeaways?
I think the biggest one is going to be the philosophy we talked about, right? As a business, just understand at what part of the journey you're at. Are you at a point where you can afford to invest into actual marketing services done for you or done by you, whether you're investing into an agency or you're investing into your own education to do it for your own business? Or are you at a point where you're struggling and you just need to make, income this week, this month? Then try to play around with leads as a way to generate more business for yourself. Once you get to a certain point where you have the good cash flow, where you can start to outsource business to your employees or contractors, then start to invest into actually building a brand and starting to do more flyers and logos and website and whatnot and stuff like that. If you're on an enterprise level, right, that's kind of going from small to medium size to enterprise or medium size. If you are at that stage, a lot of times you're investing into the brand. You're creating quality content to help you get that incremental traffic back to your site. We just finished doing a pitch document for one of the businesses that we're pitching to, a $6 billion publicly traded company. And something that we did a quick calculation, and we pretty much told them that, hey, if you do SEO right, in the next 2 years, you could be looking at $6 to $12 million in additional revenue, right? Just based on what we see in terms of the keywords that they would like to rank for, and the websites that they have. So again, what stage of the business you're at, and then pick the right approach to marketing as a result of that, that realization. So that would be my biggest advice. It's always great to build a brand. I took a while to get to a point where I'm intentionally now putting myself out there and sharing my knowledge. It's because I had to, one, learn things. Two, I had to practice them. I had to become comfortable with them. And then, I now I'm applying all the lessons that other people are telling you in terms of brand building back to my business, right? And that's the same thing for every business out there. Where are you at? What part of the journey you're at? Be very honest about it, just because that's probably the most important question you're going to ask yourself if you're trying to grow as a business, because that will pretty much give you the right tools to get from $0 to 100,000 to 200,000 to $1 million, and then beyond $1 million.
Excellent. Really, really good stuff, Scott. I appreciate how you framed that and pulled everything together at the end so that people will know what stage that they're in, they recognize that, and what kind of strategies they have to adopt in order to generate leads and continue to bring business in over a long period of time. That's an excellent synopsis. So thank you again, Scott, for coming and joining us here on the Useful Content Podcast and talking to our students in the Useful Content Classroom. I know after people have heard all of this from you, they'd want to know how can they find you online, so you can let the people know how they can find you.
Yeah, you can find me on my website, scottgabdullin.com, or you can find me on any social media platform. Probably Twitter is a great place. And from there, you'll be able to find either my enterprise agency or our lead generation agency and a number of other businesses that we're involved with. We are traditional business owners ourselves on top of running an agency, so we understand the hurdles that a lot of business owners go through as entrepreneurs. So I am passionate about helping, and it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak to your audience, share whatever knowledge I have, and definitely had a great time.
So thanks all these students for coming to the lesson today. Useful Content Classroom dismissed. And we're clear. Ooh, that was good. It's good stuff, man. How you feel?
Feels good. Usually, so when you ask me, like, I have to re-ask the question, I was like, oh, we're not doing one take. All right, that's easier.
Yeah, that was my fault. I should have, I realized I meandered all over with that question. The Useful Content Podcast is brought to you and produced by Relate Studios. You can see the work we do on our website at relatestudios.com. If you like what you've heard on the podcast today, please follow and come back in 2 weeks for another great episode. And if you want to get more useful content in between that, you can follow me, Juma Bannister, on LinkedIn and on Twitter. We all know it's still Twitter. See you soon in the Useful Content Classroom.